Okay, what's going on YouTube? How are you? And normally I say what's going on YouTube, but I'll also say what's going on Reddit because this is being posted as an accompanying article for our Reddit post where I have been dropping all my stuff all summer. You guys have been so awesome on the fantasy football subreddit. This is going to be related to my three-part article series I'm releasing and then trying to get ahead a little bit of the draft guide we're going to be dropping this weekend. We'll do a best ball draft just so it's like more entertaining than looking at my ugly mug on here. My face isn't particularly interesting to see. We will have a draft again, probably going to be secondary to talking about the articles. I'm really more concerned with getting into what I've been writing because the last one was the most viewed and like most subscribed to post article thing I've ever had. So thank you guys so much. And I wanted to have an accompanying like explanation of why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's a huge part of how I conceptualize fantasy football. What am I paying for? What am I not? Of course, we're pick 10. We're always pick 10. Never anything good. I'm never worried about loading up on more James Cook. I like starting out running back. We'll do an Ashton Genty. Okay. So this is the article that initially released on Reddit that did very well. And I'm doing it now a two-part series or three-part series in addition to it. 10 players priced at their ceiling, 10 players priced at their floor. Just a very big, totally me ripping off Warren Buffett's genius, right? Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. Similar concepts, just the inverse of one another, right? I'm very interested in the psychology of markets and how fantasy assets are priced and what is priced in and what isn't. I think this year, with such an incredible board with such good value everywhere, how you break down narratives, how you break down risk is really an important, because no one can tell you that, right? Everyone has all the information in the world now. Everyone's pretty well set with how they go into a draft. They even have tools that'll do a lot of the hard part for them. What you can't do is have someone tell you, should you draft Parker Washington or Brian Thomas Jr., right? In the 6th round, who do you want? Who's going to be the Jaguars wide receiver one? You cannot have someone tell you how detrimental is Kyler Murray going to be to Justin Jefferson or how is he not? What does Ashton Genty getting the most touches in the league mean compared to the offensive con? You sort of have to make these choices for yourself, right? So I'm really proud of doing stuff that's like interesting for me to do. It means a lot to me, and I think it's instructive as a fantasy manager for you guys to be able to read. I won't go into my podcast co-host gets very annoyed when I discuss my first decade as a fantasy manager, but I think I've been quite successful considering it was my first 10 years doing so. I'm really proud of the results I've had and of the process I've built, and I hope in sharing the way that I think about those things with other people, maybe it's interesting to someone, maybe it helps them with their season. So here is the one that I initially released. This is the one dropping tomorrow. 10 redraft players priced at their floor. It's already out on the Substack. This is the one that I initially released. And here are you can interpret these as fades. Nice fantasy stream, guys. Nice. You can interpret these things as fades. They're not necessarily fades, though. It's more just like risk profiles that I really like or risk-reward profiles that I don't really like. Let's make we have 5 picks to our pick. Okay, so players priced at their ceiling and whether or not I am being fearful or greedy on them. Justin Jefferson, I'm fearful of. Again, we're going to go over this one more briefly because this has already been read by quite a few people, but this is sort of my thinking, right? Ashton Genty, I'm greedy on that one. I want to be a year early. I don't want to be a year too late. I am taking Ashton Genty this year. Kenneth Walker III for some reason, it's a stomach-turning pick for me. It is one that I cannot make at his current price. George Pickens, risky, but I'm making it. Chris Olave is my biggest fade in the 3rd round. I will probably have very little Chris Olave unless he falls. Let's see what we're getting here. Do we get an Amon-Ra St. Brown slide? Do we add another bit of James Cook to the pile? We'll make our pick, then we'll get back to the article. I've been drafting a lot of Amon-Ra on DraftKings for a full PPR best ball start 3 wide receiver format. I think it's a little bit ridiculous how he is priced. I like Genty a lot more here too. Wow. Okay, so James Cook goes. God. Yeah, and there goes Amon-Ra. Okay, Taylor goes. Yeah, I like Genty a lot more in full PPR. I think he catches a lot of passes this year. And then the dream here would be to chase him up with Chase Brown. Let's see what the board gives us. And then back to the article, I promise. big O'Marion Hampton guy. I do not care what Mike McDaniel is saying about committees, about using 3 running backs. Someone shared that quote that he said about using a committee in Miami right before Devon Achane was the wide receiver 5 the year before. I'm just not worried about it. If it creates a discount in your guys' rooms, your home leagues, you should absolutely be buying the dip there. I do prefer Chase Brown in full PPR because he's probably going to get just such an obscene amount of receiving work. But they're very close to me. I prefer Hampton in half PPR because of the touchdowns. I think Hampton scores a lot of short touchdowns this year. You know what? We're going to take pick 15 CeeDee Lamb. I feel like a lot of people have Lamb Genty, or pick 14. He should not have slid that far. Okay, we have a while, 18 picks. So here's the article. Again, I'm hoping by like talking through it a little bit, it maybe informs some of my thinking. I'm hoping it also stops me from taking the absolute butt whooping I took on there when I did not properly couch one of my opinions as an opinion. I instead stated as fact. I got lit up. So I'm trying to avoid some of that, right? Which is good. That should happen if you say silly stuff. Okay, so a big part of my ethos. This is going to be in our draft guide. This is a core of what I'm doing, right? Buying something at the bottom and capturing all of the potential upside that comes with it. That was oh, God, that's Ted Sr. Nice fantasy. That's your Ted. Okay, Ted's dad stopped by. I saw Ted. I literally thought that was you, Ted. That's why I didn't say anything. Oh, that's so cool. Your dad stopped by. Okay, Ted Sr., good salmon fisherman, man. Last time I saw that guy, we were on a salmon boat together. Not last time I saw him, but last time we hung out, we went to on a salmon trip together in the Bay Area. Okay. So who do I think's priced at their floor this year and why? And why do I ultimately think these guys are going to be fantasy defining players for your season? What is the core of why I'm writing what I'm writing? Let's explain it a little bit. James Cook is currently the RB6 in ADP. He is my RB3 on the year. The coaching staff and the practice beat has been so great for the Bills running backs. They are talking about getting them like work in the receiving, right? Receiving receptions over the middle of the field. They've been running Texas routes, all these cool, like, the Madden routes that you do with your running backs that are really fun. It looks to me like Joe Brady, who worked with Sean Payton for 2 years, right? I put this in the article. Alvin Kamara caught 205 receptions, including his rookie year, under Joe Brady and Sean Payton. Joe Brady now gets the opportunity to run the show for himself, right? I am very, very excited about the prospect that James Cook gets an increased receiving role this year. I believe he does. And now there's another question for me. Does this coaching staff believe in putting Josh Allen at risk on the goal line the way McDermott did? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. If they do not, right? Ray Davis is a pretty big dude. I think he's a pretty capable goal line back should it come down to that. If they do not, there's like an opportunity for Cook to expand his goal line role or his pass game usage. He led the league in rushing last year. Here's his box score: 305.2 full PPR points, 1,621 yards, 1,912 total like combined yards. Very, very good player, man. I think he could score 15 touchdowns this year. I think he could get up to 50 receptions. If he does, I think we're getting a Bijan Robinson, a Jahmyr Gibbs, not quite as good, but close. At the back end of the drafts, it's a no-brainer for me. Would love to see a Nico Collins fall here. That's pretty late for Nico to even still be on the board. Emeka Egbuka continues to be one of my favorite bets here. This is like, I have Devonta Smith as my wide receiver 12. I have Emeka Egbuka as my wide receiver 14. I have Zay Flowers. No, I have Emeka Egbuka as my wide receiver 15. Zay Flowers 14. Rashee Rice at 13. I'd love for one of these guys to be on the board. Come on. Sorry, it's just sort of the nature of doing these like article rundowns when I do these. I want to make sure I draft a banger team if it's going to be on video forever. God forbid you win $100,000 and you didn't take time to enunciate the picks while it's going down. Really good board for us here. If Nico Collins slips past you, that's wild. I know Devonta Smith has the hamstring. In full PPR, I will take a Devonta Smith at the 3-4 turn. That's crazy to me. See what wants to be there on the comeback. Love Zay Flowers this year. He will be hit upon in the article. Okay, Lad goes. I don't take him a lot because I'm not a fan of him too much, but he should be the receiving back for the Rams. I'll take mid fourth round Kyron Williams. If we're getting down to mid fourth round Kyron Williams, that's pretty ridiculous. There's our start. Genty, Kyron Williams, Lamb, Smith. Really good value on Lamb and Smith. I'm happy with that. So that's one of the biggest flag plants collectively between me and Ted. We are certainly going in on James Cook this year. I'm willing to take him as much as overall 5. If you don't want to start off your draft with a JSN, I actually prefer Amon-Ra to JSN, I think. I'm not quite there yet in full PPR. I prefer Amon-Ra. In half PPR, it's a little closer. I'm okay with taking him as high as 5. I'm not okay with taking him above Chase and Puka. I think that's way too far. I think Chase and Puka are historical outlier fantasy producers. This one kicked off quite a debate between me and the co-owner of Free Tendies Fantasy, Theodore. Drake London, wide receiver 7, ADP 17. This is, again, another one of my big flag plants. I will not take him ahead of the top 12 running backs by ADP, so the last 2 on there are going to be like Henry, A-Chain, Walker, however you have those guys ranked. I will take Drake London immediately after that tier. I prefer A.J. Brown by a little bit. I believe Drake London has within his range of outcomes a top 5 finish this year. He was the wide receiver 3 before his PCL injury last year. He played through a PCL. He had some down weeks. He's been off and on with Kirk Cousins. It certainly affected his ceiling a little bit. But we're getting like a 16.8 full PPR point per guy who played through a PCL injury last year, who was at mid 19 points per game before his PCL injury, and you're getting him as like the wide receiver 7. I think you guys should be aggressively taking that. To me, this is where asymmetric fantasy outcomes come from, right? His range of outcomes might be really flat for most of his distribution, but if he really hits, like, that guy's had 30-point weeks from receiver, right? Very few receivers in the NFL can do that. He is why I'm comfortable reaching on a Jonathan Taylor or a James Cook above a JSN or an Amon-Ra, even though a JSN and Amon-Ra are decidedly different fantasy assets, right? They are decidedly different fantasy assets. I'm not claiming they're the same, but I'm claiming if you come away with a JT, a Cook, a Christian McCaffrey, and then you go and get a Drake London or A.J. Brown at the end of your second round, you're probably fine, right? If you want to do that kind of build, up to you. Your mileage may vary there. Drake London is my second player priced at his floor. Very easy click for me to make. I make it every single chance I get. God, this draft room is flying. 9 picks. These guys are busting them out. Okay. Number 3, you just saw me shoot for him. We missed him by a little bit there because I do prefer Devonta Smith. Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers was the wide receiver 7 last year, wide receiver 12 in points per game. He only played 12 games with Lamar Jackson. He had 5 touchdowns, and Lamar was gimpy in 2 of those games. Like, he was not even anywhere close to 100%. We can now draft Zay Flowers at an ADP of wide receiver 15, close to the 3-4 turn in Fantasy Pros composite ADP. Zay Flowers, to me, is again, right up there for guys that are absolutely priced incorrectly. So wide receiver 7 overall, wide receiver 12 in points per game. The guy barely misses games. He's progressed his totals every single year of his career, right? From 858 yards his rookie year to 1,211 his third year. He just got broken off in a big way. The way he got paid by the organization signals to me, 1, they want Lamar happy, that's Lamar's guy. They want him to have his wide receiver 1 moving forward, and they're making a point of it. Okay, okay, we're getting weird. This is weird panic injury time. Are we going to get Jalen Waddle at pick 58 in full PPR best ball? And what is Mike Evans doing down here? What are we doing? Cool. This is why the name of the article, right? Be greedy when others are fearful. If people are going to fade Jalen Waddle down to pick 60, and spoiler alert, he's the next name we're discussing on the article, you guys should be buying, right? So I'm doing exactly what I'm trying to advise people I would do in their situation. This guy looks like he's thinking about Waddle because he's taking a long time on the clock. You going to pull the trigger? Okay, so there goes Waddle. I'm as big of a Parker Washington bull as there is, but I'll take Mike Evans all the way back at the 5-6 turn all day there. Again, spoiler alert for the article. Really good timing. We get to hit on a bunch of guys we're going to discuss here. Round 5 Waddle or Evans is great. Yeah, again, so I'm a huge Parker Washington guy this year, much to the chagrin of my co-host. But I think it's getting a little reckless. We had a question on stream the other day. Can I take Parker Washington can I take Jordan Tyson, who I actually believe is like a similar profile to Parker Washington? Can I take him as high as the 4 or 5 turn? You want to make sure when you're really high on one of these guys, you're not just taking them like then they have to have an incredible season for them to pay off at cost. Part of what's so appealing to me at current prices of Jordan Parker Washington or Jordan Tyson, I think you're buying at their absolute floor. These guys are both going to be in my part 3 of the article. By the way, they're my 2 favorite values on the board, and we get a Parker Washington in the mid 6 after all the hype. Let's go as our flex. Excellent start. I'm very happy with Genty, Kyron Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Devonta Smith, Mike Evans, Parker Washington. See if we can't swing around and get a Jalen Hurts or Trevor Lawrence stack, or Dak Prescott. Yeah, we're gonna get a great stack here on the comeback. Okay, love that happened on the video I'm going to attach for Reddit. Okay, so Zay Flowers, guys, you need to be aggressively drafting him this year. So I love Emeka Egbuka. I would not be surprised at all if he finishes as a top 5 receiver either this year. I believe he's going to see 140 targets or more. He has Zach Robinson, who hyper-targeted Drake London. I believe in the offensive coordinator. The last time Baker had a competent offensive play calling, he threw for 42 touchdowns. Yeah. So I'm a huge Emeka Egbuka guy too, but he didn't make this article. Zay Flowers and Emeka, man, if you can get one of those two guys as your 3rd round pick after a running back start, I think you're in business. I think you can win leagues. Speaking of the man himself, Jalen Waddle. I did not include his stat line from 2025 here. One, because it is very annoying to generate these graphics, believe it or not. I'm not paying a graphics designer to do it. I don't care what Reddit says. I'm not doing it. You guys are so ridiculous with your... I'm a small business owner. I'm not shelling out $30 a graphic. Times what, 10 graphics? I'm going to pay like $300? No, not on your life. Okay, Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 22, ADP 48, technically still a 4th round pick. His ADP is a lot softer outside of best ball than it is inside. At best ball, you're paying a 3-4 turnaround pick usually. So if this injury lingers and creates an injury discount, I think you guys should buy it. I know with Jalen Waddle, the injury history is a big concern. Here's the deal. I don't think it's particularly serious, although some of the docs on Twitter, again, what I do is I follow the Twitter docs. It's their job to evaluate physiology. If they tell me it's something I need to be really concerned about, I'm going to be really concerned about. Data centers are destroying the Earth's resources. Yeah, we've been at war with the image guys, the like image generator guys. I guess generating images is a hot topic right now. I had no idea because I've been busy trying to like get an education and progress my life. I didn't have time to keep up with the culture war that apparently has gotten out about AI image generation. Absolutely ridiculous. Look, if you do good work, that's great, and I'll support you. I just don't have money to pay for it every time. I need to move quickly. What am I supposed to do? Do you put in like a date with an AI image guy and you say like, can you get these to me by this date? I'm supposed to do that really as I'm doing all this? It's just not going to happen. 5 picks. We could hang out there. We'll bounce back here and wrap up. Waddle. Here's my big position with Waddle. As the Dolphins and Tua fell off, Waddle fell off. Waddle's posted positional finishes of wide receiver 13, wide receiver 8, wide receiver 34, wide receiver 46, and wide receiver 24. That is in points per game. Those ones are as point totals. Because of injury history, I figured it would be more appropriate to use point totals there. Look, Denver paid out the butt for him, right? They really did pay up in a big way. It was like a 1+ change. I think it was a 1 and 3. My opinion on that is, tough choice. I love all these guys quarterbacks wise. Jalen Hurts in the 80s feels pretty ridiculous. I don't draft a lot of Dak Prescott, but if you take CeeDee, I feel like you should. Trevor Lawrence, I believe, could be the QB1 overall this year. He's actually my favorite of that whole tier after Jalen Hurts and Caleb Williams. We'll see. We'll let the board dictate it. Okay, so there goes Brooks. Okay. Oh, God. Marvin Harrison Jr.? Okay. We have another pick coming up. We're going to take a sliding Marvin Harrison Jr. This is like a wild draft for ADP value that is occurring on stream, and I'm so happy it is. We probably should have just taken a stack there, but there's no way these guys can clear out all these quarterbacks by the time they come around to me. And if one of them already has a quarterback, we're letting this thing rip. Okay, we'll let the universe decide what quarterback we get. I think all 3 of these are tremendous values. I'm very glad that this one happened to happen on the one stream that I'm going to go post on Reddit to accompany this article, because this might be a banger draft. We'll see how this thing ends. You always have to end it strong, right? Hurts is definitely my preferred, but I love Hurts and Lawrence's tight end. I'm not as big of a fan of Ferguson, but really cool. You pray for weird ADP falls like this when you're doing these sort of drafts, and that is like 6 of them in one draft. That's when you get a pretty a pretty banger outcome here. Okay, we're gonna get Jalen Hurts at 87. Okay, if they want to give me, oh my God, Jaden Daniels is still there too. What are we doing? Okay, if they want to give me one of these three on the comeback, that would be awfully cool of them. I hope I didn't click the wrong one. Play it. No, it's the same one I've been doing. Yeah, okay, okay. Um, So Jalen Waddle, right? He strikes me as someone who's extremely offense sensitive because on a per route basis, he's actually been one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. So last year, the Broncos led the NFL in pass attempts with 613. Bo Nix has been a top 12 fantasy quarterback both years of his career so far. He had a surgery, cleaned some stuff up. There's been a little bit of like whispers about him not being as mobile this year. I'm not that worried about it. So they ranked seventh in pass rate over expectation too, by the way. So Jalen over Daniels F in the chat. It's because of the stack, dude. It's because of the stack. I can't, yeah, it's because of the stack. That's the only reason why. So yeah, Ted's not happy in the chat. In my opinion, there's a world where Jalen Waddle sees 140 plus targets as the Sean Payton middle of the field attacker. This is a role we've watched produce fantasy gods. And then this is my big selling point to you guys. What if we get Michael Thomas's usage in a Jalen Waddle talent? Like Michael Thomas was a good player, a really clean route runner, but he's not like an explosive athlete necessarily. He's a good athlete, but you know, obviously he's in the NFL. I've seen like guys like Ian Hartitz have Jalen Waddle as high as wide receiver 12. I don't think that's that crazy. I rescind my F. Yeah, you have Devontae. Yeah, that's why. I don't think that's that crazy. So Jalen Waddle is one I'm going to tell you guys to let it rip on. This is one that is near and dear to my own heart. I had 40%, 50, almost 50% roster exposure to Tyler Warren last year. Not quite 50. I had 8 out of 12 redraft rosters were either Kraft or Warren last year, which obviously both for different reasons went down in flames. Warren was one of my most drafted fantasy tight ends too for my best ball portfolio. Here's the deal with what we're looking at with Tyler Warren. He still produced the 10th best rookie tight end season in NFL history by points per game. He set the Colts rookie tight end receiving record. We know the two things that correlate most with fantasy production for rookies. It's not that complicated. It's routes run and target share. He offers like 19.4% target share last year as a rookie, 6th in the league among tight end. He also added his 6th best first read share. Tight end target share, right? This was a guy that they made an effort to get involved early, often, and deliberately at the tight end position. It is my opinion that I am here's how high I am on Tyler Warren. So typically he's going to go at the 4-5 turn. At the 2-3 turn, you'll often have a choice between Bowers and McBride. In my opinion, the gap is small enough between Warren, Bowers, and McBride that I'm actually not willing to take Bowers or McBride at the 2-3 turn because I will come around and see if I can get Loveland or Warren there instead. I think, put it in the article at the end here, I think I expect him to lead the Colts in targets for 2026. They have 111 vacated targets for Michael Pittman Jr. It now looks like Alec Pierce is slow to recover from his tightrope surgery. He might miss some time. As of now, maybe they go and get a Keenan Allen. As of now, oh, do we get a Brock Purdy stack with Jalen Hurts? That would be so absolutely lit. Come on. I think we're going to get it. Okay, we do get Brock Purdy. Now here's the question with the news that George Kittle's coming back. Do we want to go all in and do a Purdy Kittle stack? I kind of want to. Seems like George Kittle's trending toward playing week 1. Colts are my expected Keenan Allen spot. Yeah, so I think that's where they go. But as of right now, okay, here's the Warren outlook. He was the tight end 2 through week 5, tight end 3 through week 13 last year. Before he had a literal grandfather throwing him the ball, right? So he had an all-time rookie season by definition. He was the 10th most productive fantasy tight end we've ever seen. There's 111 vacated targets in the offense. And the team's wide receiver 1 that they broke off in a big way may not see the field for 2 or 3 weeks to start the season. When he does, is he 100%? What if he's just a sacrificial X? Like, what if he's not capable of some of the stuff he was doing before and he gets relegated to more of a sacrificial X role? What does that make Tyler Warren for the beginning of the season? To me, Okay, we're doing it. We're gonna get a George Kittle Purdy stack. Oh man, I love Gainwell a lot, and Gainwell's probably a smarter value there. But that is such a great start. God, that makes me happy. Jalen Hurts, Genty, Kyron Williams, CD Smith, Mike Evans, George Kittle, Parker Washington, Marvin Harrison Jr., Brock Purdy. Also, Shefty said the Colts are still expecting Pierce to be ready to go by week 1, but that's becoming more sus. Yeah, so I saw that reporting, and that is what the Colts have said the whole time. I've still been drafting Pierce, by the way. I have like 16% roster exposure to him on Underdog, so I actually have like an outsized position to Pierce right now because I'm not terribly scared off. I am trusting what the team has said about him, but I think people need to really evaluate when you are taking Brock Bowers over a Drake London, over a Nico Collins, even over a Rashee Rice or a, you know, I guess that those would be the more controversial ones. Would be like Pickens, Rashee Rice, Devonta Smith. Do you pull up Josh Jacobs or Breece Hall or Jeremiah Love up to the late second? I'm hesitant to do so because I don't see a huge gap between Tyler Warren and these guys. So my verdict on this, I am being greedy. I think he has gotten forgotten in the hype of Loveland, in the fact that we have two of the great tight ends we've seen in the last 20 years playing currently in McBride and Bowers, and make no mistake about it, they absolutely are. I think it's gotten lost that there's this bruiser who murders the middle of the field in play action, that Daniel Jones may have an issue pushing off in a noodle arm post-injury. Tyler Warren is going to crush this year. And I'm just urging everyone to think about, do you want Terry McLaurin and Brock Bowers, or do you want Tyler Warren and George Pickens, Tyler Warren and Devonta Smith, right? These are the trade-offs you're making. Tyler Warren and Drake London. Like, if you can get, particularly those two are the ones that I think it's a little outrageous to take Bowers over, is Drake London and A.J. Brown. If you can get a Drake London or an A.J. Brown, just reach on Warren a little bit at the 4 or 5 turn. Warren and A.J. Brown is so much better than Bowers and Mike Evans, in my opinion. It's close, though, by the way. It's close. I do like those wide receivers a lot, but God. Okay, does Goddard come back to us? This will be the coolest stream ever if we get Goddard on the comeback, another guy I'm extremely high on. I am sorry for the Reddit people tomorrow that are just going to be wanting to hear me talk through my article. I don't even know if anyone's actually going to watch. I hope people watch it. It'd be cool if they do. I'm sorry I'm being so annoying. Oh my goodness, look at the panic with Dobbins. Dobbins limps off the field in one practice and people are done. All the way down at, what is this, 130. I'm not a Dobbins drafter, but that is getting close to the point where I consider it offensive. Okay, he goes. So I don't have to make a tough call there. That would have been really, really hard for me to reason through. Dobbins was full go, by the way. That's when price is floor for sure. Yeah. We all know the deal with Dobbins. If he stays healthy, you're getting like a top 20 running back at pick 100, and he's gonna be a serious factor in winning for a time being. Okay, I promise we will. See, so I tried not to include injuries, Ted, in the price to his floor thing. You're saying Dobbins' price is floor. Yes, we get the double tight end stack. With one of my favorite values at tight end, we get Goddard and Kittle stacked with Purdy and Hurts. Oh, I tried not to include injuries. Hopefully we get Stribling or Tracy here on the comeback would be really cool. As much as I like the Stribling stack with Brock, I think we need a running back here. I would prefer Tracy Jr. We will take Chris Rodriguez if we come. Chris Rodriguez is getting really good ink. I still think it's going to be Tootin, but I think you have to be taking your shots on Chris Rodriguez. But yeah, so my problem with calling Dobbins a floor play, and I said this in the article, it's not fair to say like, well, the player's going to get injured because if anyone gets injured, their floor could be 0. But like when a player's never finished a season and never taken over 200 touches before because he can't finish the season, I think it's fair to say like Dobbins' floor is he's not that far from 0 because of the nature of his injury history. But still, he certainly could be a league winner if things broke the right way. I think you should be taking him on your hero and 0 builds. Okay, so that is my bull case for Tyler Warren. Cannot recommend it enough. Personally, for me, I am probably going to pass on Bowers and McBride unless Bowers goes literally to the 23rd or 24th pick. So if I have a Bijan or a Gibbs and I'm looking at, do I want the tight end one and potential RB one, and I can get those on the same roster, I'll probably do it. But like, if I have Chase, if I have Puka, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait. I'm going to build out my running back room and my wide receiver room and then come around and get Tyler Warren on the comeback. Cannot recommend him enough. Okay, Bucky Irving. My first fade of guys that are priced at their floor, but I think these next two guys are a good example of where I'm going to let the market handle it, okay? Bucky, let's make sure we don't have any room here. Anyone who's just popping in, I see some random viewers here and there. Ask questions if you have them. Oh, God, what if we got Stribling this late behind ADP? Casey Concepcion continues to drop, too. I think Casey's a great pick. Okay. Bucky Irving, a player that I am not taking even though he's priced at his floor. No doubt about it. Bucky Irving is priced at his floor. He's had great press this offseason. Everything's going well, and I give you exactly what we're worried about, the bull case for Bucky Irving. This is an elite rookie producer who came out hot in year 2 while carrying a workhorse level load. Had he not gotten injured, we would be looking at a mid to late second round price tag. He came out too. Who should Adrian's new team name be? Oh no. Adrian, I'd really rather not. I'm not going to read that on YouTube. Okay. Bucky Irving is priced at his floor. There's real appeal there. I totally understand. The bull case is simple. He's finished as an RB1, or at least produced as an RB1 for long stretches as a rookie. He looked like an RB1 last year when he came out. He was just injured. He's going to be an RB1 again. That's it. No big discussion there. That's your case for Bucky Irving, being at his floor price, and you should buy him. Why am I fearful? Why am I letting others buy Bucky this year? To me, they have 3 capable pass rushers who have each flashed in a very specific role. Tucker took Bucky's goal line work all of last year. Now, that was one staff, different coaching staff, different offensive staff. Does it hold? I don't know. But Tucker's a very good goal line back. He appears to be a very capable goal line back. And then they go and get one of the most effective receiving backs in the NFL and a receiving specialist in Kenny Gainwell that they paid up for. I think that this has the capacity to become the nightmare of all running back committees, where every guy has a specific role, and that specific role is not good for fantasy for the one you take the highest, right? I'm interested in taking round 18 to 20 shots on Sean Tucker because I think he's going to fall in the end zone on best ball. I'm interested in taking Gainwell in the 9th or 10th round because in full PPR I think he'll be productive. What if Bucky becomes the 20s to 20s guy and gets pulled out in the high leverage, high point situations? I think that outcome's very real for him. I'm going to let my league mates take their chances on Bucky Irving this year. This one kills me. Devontae Adams, absolute league winner in 2025. Okay, we're up in 5 picks. Chris Rodriguez Jr. still on the clock. I take a lot of Alvin Kamara here at cost. We feel great about our wide receiver room. Parker Washington, Marvin Harrison Jr., Mike Adams, Devontae Smith, CeeDee Lamb. It's going to be hard for wide receivers to even crack scores there. Our tight end room's really, really good too. We can wait on tight end. We can wait on tight end and take another tight end. Okay, there goes Chris Rodriguez. I take a lot of Alvin Kamara up here. Rodriguez over Kamara all day. Yeah, Rodriguez over Kamara. He just went. I would have taken him. Certainly would have taken him, Ted. I feel like Jawan Johnson in full PPR is probably mispriced here, but we're going to have a shot at some pretty good running back value on the comeback. Let's give it a second. We're getting back to the article. I promise. Yeah, Rodriguez over Kamara all day. Rodriguez probably needs to be something that people are taking more shots on. Just on the off chance. It would be so weird to me. Okay, so we do get Kamara here. I'm making sure I'm not leaving any really good value. If I didn't have like 2 tight ends I love, I would look at Jawan Johnson here. I like Kamara a lot in the full PPR. He's your running back 4. And that's pretty great. We don't need another quarterback with Hurts and Purdy. I mean, I could take one. No. The other ad I'm running, yeah, people drop Marshawn Lloyd. Yeah, especially if Josh Jacobs gets a serious suspension. I don't know what they're thinking with Josh Jacobs. But if Josh Jacobs receives a serious suspension, Marshawn Lloyd becomes a pretty important ad. And then you don't know, like, does Jacobs get suspended and Lloyd really flashes as a pass catcher? Does he start to carve out like a pass catching role there? Okay. I like Jonah Coleman a lot here. I've been taking a lot of Jonah Coleman. I like Omar Cooper Jr. a lot here, but I want to take, because I have a double hero running back start. I always like adding like super high value handcuffs to that. So Tank Bigsby, we have Tyron Tracy Jr., who I think is going to get a lot more work than people are drafting. Cam Scattaboo is a full blown fade for me. Okay, back to the article. Devontae Adams, wide receiver 23. This is the wide receiver 8 from last year. Why am I fading the wide receiver 8? Why am I opting for guys like Christian Watson, certainly Mike Evans and Terry? It's not even close. I would prefer JMO. I would prefer Christian Watson. I would prefer Parker Washington. Why would I prefer that group of guys over the wide receiver 8 from last year? Because there's some hot takes in there. I'm going to have to adjust my rankings, by the way. I don't have it like this in my rankings, but I am going to have to do that. Adams scored 14 touchdowns on 60 receptions in 2025. He did see like 111 targets, which I didn't put in the article. That's pretty healthy, but like a nearly 25% touchdown to reception rate is absolutely obscene. 9 of those touchdowns came inside the 5-yard line. So this was like a very specific type of use that Cam Scattaboo was experiencing, that was experiencing, although Rip Scattaboo, that's in the chat, Rip Scattaboo glazing season. Yeah, it's over, dude. It's over. At least for me. I drafted a ton of Cam his rookie year. I've had like 6 issues that have come up with him. We'll talk about on a later stream. I'm not drafting any Cam Scattaboo this year. None. He will not be on my redraft rosters. He would need to be like a 5-6 turn pick for me to dabble in that risk reward. 12 picks, plenty of time to keep yapping. Look, I don't like betting on things that I consider historical outlier type stuff. It is pretty rare to get 9 touchdowns inside the 5-yard line and to have a 25% target rate at like 34 years old. And the defense is totally loaded this year on the Rams. The rushing attack is totally loaded this year on the Rams with the ascension of Blake Corum. Kyron Williams is still a factor. I'm worried the Rams are going to be kicking people's teeth in so badly by the 4th round that they don't really have to pass much anymore. You have to acknowledge the contingent upside. If Puka were to go down or if Puka were to bite another human being, he might end up getting suspended for some portion of games that would mean that Adams is a top 5 wide receiver for a period of time. So be it. Here's how I wrap it up. For my personal roster building philosophy, I'll up for what I believe is higher upside swings around him. Younger guys, better roles, and offenses that pass far more. I'm taking my chances outside of Devontae Adams. Really good stats, a very scary thing to fade, one of the great wide receivers in the history of the sport. But I am doing so. This is one that it probably will change my draft philosophy a little bit for 2026. I was surprised to see that. I'll be dead on. I was actually surprised to see this. DeAndre Swift is going to end up being one of my targets at the 4 or 5 turn. I've really pushed people in my draft material and with my draft guides to leave round 5 with 2 running backs. I think this year you really want to leave round 5 with 2 running backs. Okay. Now, the traditional, ball knower knowledge around this is like, you're far less likely to find a league winner in round 4 and 5 at running back than you are at wide receiver. Round 1, 2, and 3 produce way more league winning seasons for running back than round 4 and 5. And in fact, round 4 and 5 is more likely to be an outright bust as a pick than they are to be a plus pick in terms of like a championship rate over expectation. Okay. I understand the case. I'm not confused about the case. I acknowledge the case against it. My problem is that every year is a unique year unto itself. And sometimes there are players that are unique players unto themselves. And I think that when you look at the DeAndre Swifts and the Monties of the world, I think they look dead zone-ish and they feel dead zone-ish to you. Like at first glance, there's something about them that doesn't seem right. You know, you're kind of like, Okay, we have 3 tight ends we still love here. That's pretty low for Spears. Okay, we'll take our running back 6 now. We'll take Spears. That's like 25 picks past ADP. I hope something didn't happen in practice that I missed. That does not seem like he should be that cheap. Okay, and then we will take probably Barner, Ferguson, Dulcich today. Let's see who we get, then we can hop back over. God, that's cheap for Dontavian Wicks, too. But no, I want our third tight end here. I want a great third tight end. Loving this build so far, by the way. Oh, okay. So these are actually all guys I love at price, but AJ Barner, I think, has like a 20 point per game spike week in his belt, under his belt, in his repertoire, whatever you want to say. That's a very easy pick for me. Okay, baller tight end room that I'm very happy with. I really do love everything I'm doing with all this. Okay, why did this change the way that I'm going to look at fantasy this year? So when you are picking at the 4 or 5 turn, you very often have a top 4 pick. In a top 4 pick, if you get one of the running backs, then the world's your oyster, right? Because you just have to get one more at either the 2, 3, or 4 or 5 turn, and it doesn't really matter as much. So like if you pair DeAndre Swift with Gibbs or Bijan, who cares, right? You're going to get a top 24 running back with a top 2 running back, and you're going to have a fantastic running back room. Where I was maybe less willing to take Swift was if I had to take a Jacobs, a Hall, or a Love at the 2, 3 turn, where I got a Puka. If I get a Puka Chase start, then I get another wide receiver 1 before the turn, right? So Nico Collins. I have Puka and Nico Collins. Then I'm coming around to the 2, 3 turn, and I take Love or Hall or Jacobs, whoever you prefer there. Not an issue. I would have felt uncomfortable or uneasy if I had to go with a DeAndre Swift as my running back 2 in that build, because it's like a modified double hero where you're taking 2 later guys. I don't think I am, honestly. He finished as the RB9 last year. That was shocking to me. That was not something I expected. And then I put in here, by literal definition, Swift is priced at his floor. He's never finished below RB23 in his career where he's currently going. He has finished RB18, RB15, RB21, 20, 19, and 9. So if he's going into a team with his best offensive context he's ever played in, with the best head coach he's ever had, with a garbage defense that has to pass a lot, they have confirmed he is 100% the passing down back because he's really good at it. They're not going to take him out from Monangai. He may lose some goal line work, may lose some early down work to Monangai. I think that's going to happen. Monangai's also been injured quite a bit, which I think is noteworthy. If Monangai goes down, Swift is a top 12 weekly back. This is a pick I'm incredibly comfortable with. It's a pick that I think is going to provide you with really high floor. I don't think he can go to 0 in his given context, barring injury. And I think there's real ceiling there, which maybe is not how it's put. So here's how I put it, right? We're doing a Warren Buffett article. You have to throw it in, but the Swift investor is like the guy who keeps buying the S&P 500 with 15% of his take home for 30 years. And then you wonder, why is the guy a multimillionaire when he's 65? He just works some menial $60,000 a year job. It's because he kept buying the S&P for 40 years, for 50 years. This is not some Ty Lopez dude telling you about all his Ferraris from his garage, right? This is sensible capital deployment in the market. And look, every now and again, the S&P can still have a 25% return. So I think Swift is one of those boring picks that may just be exactly what you need for your roster. God, 3 picks. Dude, this room is flying. Okay, we probably should circle back to wide receiver. We've put it off for so long, but again, when you get 5 guys like that, it's just so good. Okay, we have Purdy, we have Hurts. Oh, you know what? I had Hurts. I should not have taken Spears there. I should have taken Wicks. That was so stupid. Okay, it's okay. We will live. I probably should stack Kirk with Purdy, but I'm on such a Hurst bender right now. We're going Hurst if we can. Okay, Pat Bryant. Because Sean Payton's saying shit like, I can't keep him off the field. Great. Kirk, you want a Kirk pick, Ted? All right, if it makes you happy, buddy. Maybe Hurst comes back to us. I don't think he does. He's been getting crazy camp footage, but it seems like that'll make you happy. Oh my God. Okay. Never mind. He's effing around. Okay. Which rookie hype train do we want to jump on? I'm like pot committed to the Ted Hurst thing because I was absolutely jamming him for a period this year. Um, God, I kind of want to commit to the bit, right? Okay, we're gonna do Ted Hurst again. I've taken a disturbing amount of Ted Hurst. My season's very much would be if Ted Hurst. Just know if Ted Hurst goes off at any point this year, my bags are gonna be pumping. Okay, that was not appropriate in context. Okay, so my pick number 9, 49ers own Mike Evans, currently with a composite ADP of 27 or ADP of 62, wide receiver 27. Do you guys understand? Mike Evans has okay, so he's missed 12 games in his career, or he's missed 24 games of his career. 12 of them have been of the last 2 years. He's played 12 years, so he's missed 2 games on average. 12 of them have been in the last 2 years. I understand. He broke his collarbone. Theo's can't be trusted. Yeah, he broke his collarbone. Okay, I don't really count that. That's an acute injury. This is one of my bigger flag plants for the year, and we're going to see what the world does with this take or see how it plays out. I believe Mike Evans could see the highest usage, one of the highest usage seasons of his career. Mike Evans is probably the third or fourth or maybe third best, maybe third, right? You'd have to think about prime Ayuk, prime Debo, prime Julio Jones. Some of the guys, I guess he had Pierre Garcon in there when he was really good. Like Shanahan's coached some incredible receivers. But Mike Evans is up there for the best that he's ever gotten his hands on. The way that Mike's game meshes with Brock Purdy, I don't know if like non-49ers fans realize this. Juwan Jennings saw 203 targets over the last 2 years. Not just 203 targets, 34 of those were in the red zone. Juwan Jennings caught 12 touchdowns in the red zone the last 2 years. Brock is very, very good at working those big bodies in the red zone. His scrambling too, right? Opens up positions for those box out, throw them up balls. We all know the Kittle one, I believe, against the Patriots, where he threw that crazy, dove over 3 dudes' heads, right? Jumped over him. Mike Evans in the 5th round, to me, I love Parker Washington. I believe Parker Washington's going to be a league winner this year. He is going to be the first name on part 3 of this article. But I will not take him above Mike Evans, who has been a wide receiver 1 or 2 for large stretches of his career. I won't take Luther Burden over Mike Evans. I won't take Terry McLaurin over Mike Evans. Mike Evans, to me, is a lot closer to the Zay Flowers of the world, the Emeka Egbukas of the world, the Chris Olaves of the world, the Jalen Waddles of the world, than he is to where he's being drafted. And I believe that because people are over-indexing on the injury concerns, which are real, and he has had, I think they are going to miss out on what I consider to be a generational buying opportunity. It is my opinion that if Mike Evans is on the field, he will be ranked as a weekly wide receiver 15 or better, except in games when he plays Seattle or the Rams. This is one I'm buying. I'm being very greedy while others are being fearful. This is what the essence of, do you like Jonathan Taylor's 7.3K DFS? 7.3K DFS, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. But yes, I mean, I'm acceptable with Jonathan Taylor. I personally would, I prefer James Cook to Jonathan Taylor in a vacuum. Did I auto a pick? Okay, that's okay, because no, I didn't auto a pick. Oh no, my boys just got ran through. Okay, we might still get Christian Kirk here. Random numbers in your name, dude. What do you mean? Come on. Give me Christian Kirk with the Brock stack this late. He's going to go right here, isn't he? It's going to be right here. No. Okay, cool. What a great draft. God, I'm so happy with that. Oh, Daily Fantasy Sports DraftKings. Oh, salary on DFS. 7.3 DFS. So I looked at the slate. I am stacking the crap out of the Lions Saints game. So I made actually my first slate, but I am going all in on the Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought that, by the way. I don't know why I didn't read that. Okay. Let's see week one. I don't have the Colts game off the top of my head. But I'm targeting Saints Lions, dude. If I were you, I would pay up for, I'm paying up for the receivers in that game pretty heavily. That's my big one is I have Saints stacks going against Lions skill position players. I think the Saints are live for an upset there. So that is my big one. Okay, Colts play the Ravens. No, I would not prefer Jonathan Taylor at 7.3K against the Ravens. No, especially not without their main receiver. That is going to be a clamp down defense trying to see if Danny Dimes can push it deep. No, sir, I would not. I would not rip Jonathan Taylor in DFS week one. Look at that Saints game, and I would throw in Jordan Tyson. Wait, how are you stacking the Saints game? Doing the full day slate? What do you mean, how am I stacking the Saints game? Oh, how am I stacking? I'm doing Shuck, Tyson, Olave. Shuck, Tyson, Olave, and then I'm usually doing Gibbs on the other end. Okay, should we take Jake Tonjes with Purdy? I feel like that's a little... No. We'll do a Torrey Horton. One last boom play. Okay. Okay, so really happy with this roster. I'm really glad we got this on stream. Genty, Lamb with the weird fall to 15 and full PPR best ball. Smith, Kyron Williams, Mike Evans, Parker Washington, Marvin Harrison Jr. all the way down at 82. Hurts, Purdy, Kittle, Goddard, Tracy Jr., Kamara, Bigsby, Spears, Barner, Bryant, Hurst, Kirk, Horton. Everyone is going to be doing that, though. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so you're saying everyone's going for that. I get it. I just be honest, dude. That's the one I'm really hyped on. I can tell you. Let's see who I put around it. Let me get back into a... I'll just do another draft while I'm sitting here anyway. I actually, dude, I've been so deep in, I'm like writing, God, I don't even know how many pages of stuff I'm writing a week right now. I'm writing for like 20 or 30 hours a week. I have not swung around and looked at the best ball slate for week one too much. I just jumped in and stacked up that game really heavily. But you are right. Everyone's going to be doing that. I like JMO over an unproven Tyson, same game. Yeah, I thought Tyson was a little cheaper if I recall correctly. Let me check. I have my entries in. I did already put in some entries. But yeah, you know what? That is true though. Everyone's going to be stacking that. So my big one was Omarion Hampton at Arizona. I have Parker Washington at Cleveland. I have the Packers DST against Minnesota. Yeah, so my big play there, my one I was most excited about when I saw that slate was obviously Hampton versus Arizona. But you're right, that may be chalk too. Okay, we get pick 3, Bijan or Chase. Let's do this. And then I have Rondale Robinson on the Jets. So that was the first roster I made was Tyler Shuck, Gibbs, Hampton, Wandale, Jordan Tyson, Parker Washington, Laporta, Olave, Packers. That was my DFS slate. And then I did Shuck, Barkley at Philly. This one I'm actually going to mix up a little bit. I remember wanting to change this because I already had the Gibbs. Let's see what I can afford here. Yeah, so this one was Shuck, Barkley, Hampton, Igbuka, Olave, Parker Washington, Mark Andrews, Jalen Warren, and the Raiders DST. That's who I'm ripping. I don't know, man. Maybe it's chalky. I'm also not the biggest DFS guy. Like, I definitely put my picks in. Okay. Let's wrap this up before we get into the draft. My last one. My last player that is priced at their floor and that I'm leaving at their floor. Jadarian Price. RB26, ADP 62. I don't think it's guaranteed that we even see consistent RB2 production out of Jadarian Price at any point this year. I certainly think if we do, it is far more likely that we see RB1 production out of Jadarian Price in the first half of the season than the last half. Why? It looks like Charbonnet is going to be back by week 8. If Charbonnet is going to be back by week 8, what do I think the odds are that we see a split similar to Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker by week 15? I think those odds are pretty damn high. I think drafting Price is a wild decision with your life. People are taking him over Parker Washington, Brian Thomas Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr., Jordan Tyson. They're taking him right around the range of Mike Evans, of a sliding Terry McLaurin, of a Tucker Kraft, of a Sam Laporta, like he's going in that mid-6th to early 7th. I cannot comprehend why on earth you would be doing that. 200 rosters drafted. I have one share of Jadarian Price, and it was probably just because I was bored. Gross. It's not going to be my thing. I am fearful. I'm leaving him there. My final sentiment on that, I will leave him there at floor prices and let others chase what they perceive as positional security, while I chase what I perceive as league-winning upside with many other players that will be featured in part 3 of this article. There's your teaser. Come back for part 3. I'm just not doing it, dude. Just not doing it. Not interested. Okay, we let the board pick for us. We got Jamar Chase. That is acceptable. I wanted to keep this like succinct because I was going to post it on Reddit, but I don't know. I got too excited talking about my stuff. We can go over 10 players priced at their ceiling and why I think you're crazy for buying them. I think you're absolutely out of your mind if you're going to buy Justin Jefferson under the assumption that Kyler Murray is going to fix the offense. His passing yards per game are down almost 80 points per game from his all-time peak, 2021 to 2025. I am absolutely not drafting Justin Jefferson in the first round. Let your league mates do that. I'm just not doing it. Let's make sure my headphones are charged, by the way. I just realized like I didn't even, what are we looking at here? 15%, we're good to go. Yeah, I think you're absolutely out of your mind if you draft Justin Jefferson this year. I'm just not doing it. I'm not going to have any Justin Jefferson. Where are we at? 12 picks. Why did I get a ping for fantasy? Oh, okay. Like I said, Ashton Genty, I am buying. Kenneth Walker, nope, not doing it. George Pickens, I think you should be taking your shots at Pickens at the 2-3 turn. I think you're pairing him usually at that point with Bijan or Gibbs. That makes his floor more stomachable. I don't know. You know, I'm seeing a persistent beat from the film watching guys and from like various aspects of the NFL following community that seem to think there's going to be a debate this year about whether or not Pickens or Lamb is their one, about whether or not they keep Pickens or Lamb next year because they can get rid of one and sign the other if they're so inclined. I don't know. My personal opinion on that is that Lamb had a high ankle last year, that he got hurt, that he's on a better contract, a cheaper contract, and that he's clearly their one. And when push comes to shove, they're going to let George walk, I think. But I think we have to leave open the possibility that George is a more talented receiver. Again, it seems unlikely to me. I'm not saying I think that. I'm saying I think we have to leave the light on that that's true. And if we're going to do that, then at pick 23, I think you guys should take the risk. I am buying the hesitation around him. He is the wide receiver 5 from last year that you're now getting at dirt cheap prices. God, AJ Brown, Drake London, Malik Neighbors. When you start off with Jamar Chase and you can get one of those guys, it just feels so good. It just feels so good to do. Ooh, still taking Drake London over Neighbors. See what we got on the comeback. I've been taking a lot of Devonta Smith with his like hamstring injury falling, but I don't want to take a ton of it in case that hamstring actually is serious. He's been someone who I've been pretty comfortable drafting all year. Pickens or Collins at 27 seems pretty cool. Come on. Luther Burden. Oh, that's why they're Luther Burden. Uniqueness. He's a uniqueness, bro. God. Okay, so Pickens and Collins. We'll add Pickens there and go a little wild. Okay, so that's a fantastic start. Jamar Chase, Drake London, George Pickens. Yeah. So, you know what's funny is I would have added priced at their ceiling. I would have actually added Cam Scattaboo on here if the news had kept. The news is getting worse by Cam Scattaboo by the day at this point. So he's gonna end up like just a full blown fade for me. But he would have been in this list if we had gotten the news ahead of time. Two guys priced at their ceiling. I prefer George Pickens to Kenneth Walker. Like in a vacuum at relative ADP, I wouldn't take him over like Kenneth Walker, obviously. I just cannot do the Kenneth Walker thing. I understand he had a really good season last year, and I understand he's going to get workhorse. He hasn't scored over 200 points in like 4 years. Mahomes post ACL might not be able to push the ball the way he used to. Like, what if they really start facing like constricting defenses? I understand that the film guys seem to think teams have to sit and cover 2 against Mahomes, which is going to give Kenneth Walker a lot of like soft room to run. Maybe. I don't know. I'm going to let someone else do it. I still prefer every other running back in round 2 ahead of Kenneth Walker. I will take him, though. Just not happy about it. He's not like a guy I'm targeting. I understand. Guys have him as a first-round pick. I believe Olave gets pushed out to a pure X-type role with Jordan Tyson. I think Jordan Tyson's a more talented player than Olave as things currently stand. I think Olave has a far lower floor than people realize. They added Travis Etienne, and then Kamara wasn't healthy for huge stretches of last year. He comes back. I think there's a lot of high-quality competition for touches for Olave that did not exist a year ago. So I will not be drafting any Olave at current cost. Take Etienne here. I don't know if I like him in a vacuum over these guys. Oh. Or do we? Take Terry. Then we can come around and get Jaden Daniels on the fallback. But yeah, Chris Olave, very easy fade for me. Another honorable mention, or at least very easy ceiling price guy that I'm fearful of. Another honorable mention, Javonte Williams. I can't do it. I really can't. This one makes me very nervous. Vegas seems to like him for 1,000 yard rusher. I think he went for like 1,200 or 1,300 last year. Weirdly enough, I think Jaden Blue. I think Jaden Blue gets more of a role than the market's pricing in. I think he's going to get work as a receiver. I think Davis and the Maffa dude, Phil Maffa, I think his name is, are pretty good. Not great, but like they seem like good depth pieces. Javonte slowed down a lot at the end of the year. It would make a lot of sense to me if they ease him off a little bit. I know he averaged 4.8 yards per carry. He was dismal as a pass catcher. It would make a lot of sense to me to see Blue get worked in there more. So Javonte's a very easy fade for me at cost. I'm seeing dudes come out and say like he should be a 2-3 turn pick and like that college Javonte Williams is back. It's simply too bullish for me personally. I understand what you're chasing there and I understand why. I just will not be chasing it with you. Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland's ADP has been on a tear all day, and I did sort of plan. I try to give tangible takes here, so like that if they go wrong, I can be properly made fun of, right? Because that's like actually important. Loveland ended the year with a 17-game pace of 204 targets, 119 receptions, 1,607 yards, and 9 touchdowns. That is over his final 4 games of the season, so a quarter of the season. Very small sample size that you're extrapolating out to 17 games. A lot of people are rightly going to say they're not going to do so. It was 4 good games. I would say that there are very few tight ends in the NFL that are capable of producing at that pace, even for 4 games. And he did so as a rookie when he was injured in the beginning of the season. In an offense with DJ Moore and Burden and Odunze, even though Odunze was hurt. I totally understand. Everyone is going all in on Loveland. I think you should be. I think you should be greedy when other people are being greedy. I think it's just a good guy to be greedy about. Honorable mention, Luther Burden. Luther Burden is a guy that, as I've said many times on here, I will go ahead and take Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin. You know, he's close with, I would take him ahead of JMO and Devontae, but I'm not pushing him ahead of like established career wide receiver 1s and 2s that have been there and been doing it their entire lives. Oh man, dude. If we get a Parker Washington or a Tyson fall here, that would be crazy. I prefer Washington to Tyson. I did not think I would be able to get any more Parker Washington this year with the way the hype's going. That is pretty exciting. There goes Washington. And there goes our boy, Tyson. We'll go Daniels there. It's a really good slide on Thomas and Harrison. If I didn't have Terry, would have left Daniels on the board there. Let's see if we get one of them to come back to us. Okay, we will take Harrison Jr. It's crazy. But yeah, leaving Luther Burden on the board. I'm letting my teammates do it. We'll get to this one last because that was the one where I got nailed on. Judkins, 2-down running back. Going at ADP 42 on Fantasy Pros Composite. I think he's more like a 5th-round draft pick on Yahoo. I think he'll probably be a 5th-round draft pick. I'm not taking a 2-down running back on the Browns with the worst quarterback room I've ever seen. I don't think you guys should be either. I think that's absolutely crazy. And then Joe Burrow, ADP 60. This was one where this is where I got lit up on Reddit, right? Because I said he does not have top 3 upside, and that was wrong. That was an incorrect statement. I should have said, in my opinion, he doesn't, because I believe that Drake May or Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams or Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence are simply too good now for him to crack. Let's see. Nice. People jumping in the free Tendies leagues. Thank you. Please pay. Please pay upon joining, because I am booting people who are not joining. Yeah, in my opinion, he needs to have 4,000 yards, 30 to 35 touchdowns at the minimum for him to pay back at ADP. That's just not the kind of bet that I'm personally going to make. You guys are welcome to if you want to. Just not my thing. I think he is priced at his ceiling. So what am I trying to do with these two pieces, and why am I trying to do it? I am trying to introduce how I think about fantasy football and everyone thinks about something because I'm doing some special thing. It's just you should conceptualize this stuff in terms of ranges of outcomes. And every single time there is reason to believe there's a bear case on a player, you should you should sort of have in your head like this nebulous floating ranges of outcomes thing that they all exist in, and you should slide it around a little bit every single time it happens. And there are some guys that are really popular names where like there are 6 or 7 things that are stacked now against them that make me feel like I'm not going to do that. There's too many negative factors. And there's guys that I think have 6 or 7 paths to crazy upside that for some reason the market doesn't price into them at all. And if that's the case, like, again, that's the whole point of the series. It's going to be 30 players, 20 at their floor, 10 at their ceiling. It's like, why would you not just buy the things you don't have to pay for? They're free. Buy players at their floor that you no longer have to you don't have to pay for ceiling. It makes so much sense, right? And I don't know, maybe that's why it got the reception it did, like on Reddit. And I don't even know, it's embarrassing to say it's a big number. I think for some people that's not a big, there goes Brooks. I was going to take Brooks in the 7th round if he hadn't gone there. It's embarrassing to be like, this got really good reception and it got like 1,300 views. But it's more than I thought my articles would be getting in a few weeks, right? But maybe that's why it resonated with people, is that it makes a lot of sense when you start to think about it. Like, you should be going those outcomes. Like Zay Flowers to me is the clearest one. I cannot believe we can get him in the mid-3rd. And I started off by thinking he's overpriced, and then as you get into it, you're like, no, he's probably pretty underpriced in like a profound way. Okay. This is my RB2 because of this hero build. Kind of gross. There's no tight end. We didn't get a Laporta fall. We'll do Corum. We're going to do one of these guys. Now, I have Jaden Daniels, so Krosky, Merritt, or White make more sense, but I can hope that one of those guys slides back. Jordan Mason appears to have gotten a hold of the starting role in Minnesota. So I think in many ways, Jordan Mason probably makes more sense for it. Kenny Gainwell is going to have a pretty robust receiving role. Monungai has really good upside. Probably go Gainwell because of the receiving role with the full PPR. Okay, and now we hope that Krosky, Merritt, or White makes it how many picks, though? 112 and 115, 18, so they would have to make it 3 or 4 picks past ADP. Maybe. I don't think that's impossible. We will reach a little bit on Tyron Tracy, if need be. Chuba is a pretty hard fade for me, but I would at least look at him in here. Okay, so that's it as far as addressing the articles. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Like the draft guide is going to be really interesting. The draft guide is going to be how I have pushed. I hope it's going to be really interesting. It's very arrogant to be like, it's going to be great. I hope it's going to be really interesting to people because it's going to be like, how have I pushed for and gotten the results that I have in my first decade of fantasy? It's going to be everything that I know and love about the game of fantasy and why. What I would think would be the coolest outcome of all this is I knock that thing out and people reach out to me next year and they say, I read your guide and I won a title because of it. That would be the absolute coolest thing ever. So that's my big goal, is to make one that's good enough for people to take something away from that, like changes the way that they get their fantasy outcomes. And that would just be fantastic. I really hope we get there. See if we can land this hero RB build, because I'm very happy with these receivers. That's so cool to get that build. A couple times in a row we've gotten it too. Can also pop over and see what the fantasy subreddit's up to today, who they're trashing, who they're not. Because I'm done talking about my stuff, I feel like an ass when I read one of my articles like on a stream. Like I'm just so smart that I'll sit there and grace the world with my words on stream. It's very embarrassing, but it's important to do. It's important to get my stuff out there. Yeah, we have a minute. I always like these, like, this tells me who people are freaking out about. Let's see, where do you have fantasy football advice? I'm always wondering what people are looking for. I think it's this one. Yeah. Why is Travis Etienne ignored by fantasy analyst? Two down back. What running backs would you rank over Walker? All 11 of them. You should rank all 11 of them over Walker. Genty versus Cook. I'm more okay with that conversation in full PPR because he's going to catch so many passes. Genty is, but I still prefer Cook. Still prefer Cook by a wide margin. Oh God, no. Great. I'm about to auto something horrible. What did I auto? Where are my active drafts? Oh no. Oh, there we go. Cool, we still got white. Lost Baker. Can't really stack Love with anyone late. Don't take a lot of Kyler Murray. Maybe we can take a lot of Kyler Murray. Or maybe we can take a Kyler Murray there. Can do a Mark Andrews. No, we'll do Kyler. Hopefully his bye isn't the same. I should have checked the bye week 6, week 7. Yeah, he should score. This is a really good question. With Quinshon Judkins in mind, when was the last time there was a super talented back in a presumably bad offense that blew away his ADP? It does not happen very often. Shout out to the late great Mike Tagliere. No, we'll keep it sorted by hot. That's probably a little better. Shout out to the late great Mike Tagliere. He pointed out that if you are not in a top 10 offense, it is very hard to be an RB1. It is. You should not be drafting Achane. With the news of the Puka injury, who are you taking at 1.04? Puka, unless it is incredibly serious. It would have to be so bad for Puka Nacua for me to be like, I am not taking a dude who's historical in terms of his fantasy points per game. Yeah, there's just no way. We'll take Tracy here if he's here. I mean, I don't really feel a rush for a receiver after starting off with that. I could just add one or two at this point. It's that good. Diggs, I believe, is off the board. Put the two running backs up there because they would make it moderately interesting. Seriously. Okay, lost Mark Andrews. Come on, 7 picks. We have time. Let's keep ripping through. Let's see what Reddit's worried about. Yeah, with Quinshon Judkins in mind, when was the last time there was a super talented back in a presumably bad offense that has blown away his ADP? Quinshon Judkins, in my opinion, has no path to blow away his ADP. The quarterback play is going to be bad. 60% of his offensive line is missing. The defense is going to be bad. They're going to have trouble giving him run game scripts. I'm not drafting Quinshon Judkins. Neither should you. Tight end premium, what am I even doing? You shouldn't be playing tight end premium unless you're playing like whatever those are, NFPC, FFPC leagues. Okay, so I still have no tight end, 0 tight end build on this one, so we probably have to go tight end here. If Tyron Tracy falls back, though, I might try to do a like real 0 tight end. Chigakonkwo stacks with Jaden. I'm okay with Kate Otten, or well, no, I didn't take Baker this time because he went. I took. Okay, so Tyron Tracy, the choice is off the board here. Yeah, we're probably just gonna double up at tight end. Oh, Strib. Oh man, Strib. Yeah, no, I need tight ends, unfortunately. We will take the stack here with Jaden. I like Brenton Strange a lot. Like, I'm a huge Brenton Strange guy, but I like Juwan Johnson a lot for full PPR. I think he's a pretty good shout at current price. We'll see if we can get those two. I feel okay. Okay, so we do get the Jaden Daniels stack. See what we followed up with. Not a big Hawkinson guy, but if he's there on the long turn when we turn back around, I'll think about it. Stribling. If Strange goes, I'll have to take a long, hard look at Stribling. Okay. After this pick, we will go back to seeing what Reddit is complaining about. But I think that Judkins thread is very good. That's exactly the issue. Don't buy 2 down running backs on terrible offenses. You're taking Quinshon Judkins over Mike Evans. That's one of those things that ADP makes it look like that makes sense. And then at the end of the year, people are going to look at it and feel absolutely ridiculous. Or the people that say, well, no, you can go hero or 0 running back. You don't need to get your running backs early. You can get a Devonta Smith in round 3. Or you could take a Josh Jacobs or a Hall or a Love in round 3 and then get a Mike Evans in round 5 instead of trying to do a Judkins with Smith. It makes no sense to me personally. I would almost go as far as to say I find it borderline offensive to how I conceptualize fantasy that people do that. Okay. Come on, Juwan. Come on, pal. Never a good sign when you're praying for a Juwan Johnson to fall back because you've done such a skimpy run at a tight end build. But I have. Cool. Okay. Get back to Reddit. See what Reddit's doing. Where's Achane on the big board? Somewhere around 16, 17. And you should be taking him. When his head coach, who, by the way, is in the McDaniel coaching tree, When his head coach says we're going to give him so many touches that I'm going to have to pick him up and drag him off the turf after he's been paid off at a top of market contract, and 55% of his touches last year came from the slot. He lined up on the slot and 55% of his snaps. Like, yeah. Yep, you should be drafting Achane. You should be drafting him confidently. Shouldn't be nervous. Don't let the Bears scare you out of him. I mean, don't take him above like guys in better offenses, but who should I keep? Does this change your ranking of Puka? Believes it's within the realms that suspends Puka. No, I'll buy the dip on Puka if there's any dip on Puka. I think that might happen. There may be some Yahoo managers that see suspended on there or see injured on there and let him go. For sure, take Puka. I don't like JSN this year compared to those two guys. Not even close. James Cook or CeeDee Lamb at 1.09. Not close. Take James Cook. Chase or JT at 1.04 standard scoring. Closer. It's a lot closer. I'm okay if you want to do that. Leaning RB draft strategy. Check out my Substack, sir. Don't take CMC if you're going to go RB, in my opinion. But Josh Jacobs for Caleb Douglas in 2027 first. God, man. No one likes Josh Jacobs anymore. No one remembers the like back end to high end running back one he's been since joining the Packers. Did we lose Hawkinson? Okay, so we can go Hawkinson with a Kyler Murray stack here. Like, Hawkinson isn't a guy I like to draft that much. But I went so late on tight end, I kind of feel like I need to. So maybe go running back Hawkinson here. If Cam Ward gets back, I think I would actually take Cam Ward too. Just an unstacked Cam Ward. Yeah, we will do 20 picks past ADP Cam Ward if it goes that way. Cool. We have people covering dues on Yahoo. That's always good. Happy with Tank Bigsby too if Ward goes, but that's like it's a pretty cool price on Ward. Probably shouldn't be that cheap. I think he'll have spike weeks this year. I don't know. And he goes. Okay, we will take Tank Bigsby though. Happy with that. And where's going to be my next shot at tight end at 190? So tight end is going to be absolutely run through here if I let it come around. Hawkinson is the stack, but I really prefer... Gadsden's also probably too cheap, but I want like volume in this room because of No, I want spike weeks in this room. So that brings me back to Barner or Ferguson. Took Barner last time. I've been taking a lot of Barner. Hawkinson's the stack. If I have two floor plays, maybe the move is just to see just Ferguson's spike. I don't think Hawkinson's like a spike week guy. Even if he's stacked, I don't know. You know, I don't know. He looked really tough last year, man. Did not look healthy to me last year. Do Ferguson. Tight end 3. The best kind of tight end 3. Okay. Back to what Reddit thinks. Saquon versus Henry at the 3.1 and a 10, man. That's still weird. What, to pick 21? You're going to have Saquon there? Saquon. Trade Josh Allen for Gibbs. I'm assuming that's super flex. Yeah, super flex. Yeah, I would do that because Gibbs plus whatever QB2 you have over Josh Allen plus whatever running back you have is probably still better. Yeah, I'd do that. Keep Igbuka in 6 or Warren in 8.5 PPR. So you get a 3-round value either way. I think Warren's ceiling is like a 3rd-round pick next year. I think Igbuka's ceiling is a 1st-round pick. I'd go Igbuka there in the 6th probably. Waddle in the 7th or Kraft in the 9th. God, that's hard too. Oh my God. Probably Waddle in the 7th, right? Because if he comes out and he looks like how we believe he's going to look with the Broncos, he's going to be expensive next year too. Okay, so here's the team so far. Very happy with this team so far. Where am I at? There we go. We're over here. Jamar Chase, Drake London, George Pickens, Jacobs, McLaurin, Jaden Daniels, Harrison, Corum, Gainwell, White, Murray, Okonkwo, Johnson, Bigsby, Ferguson. Would like to, I don't really need, when you have those 5 receivers, like I'll just take 2 of them in the last 4 toward the end. Definitely want another running back. Probably want another tight end if one falls to me. Yeah, Hawkinson went, so we don't get our other stack back. See what comes back. I would take a 4th tight end though if it's like if AJ Barner's there. I love AJ Barner, man. I cannot stop drafting that guy. Oh my God, I missed Travis Hunter that far back. I probably still would have taken him even if he's way up here. Antonio Williams. Interesting with Jaden. Justin Jefferson's value is in the toilet. Keep Devonta Smith as a 6th-rounder, Igbuka as a 7th. I would keep Igbuka as a 7th there because those guys are really close for me. Puka owners, are you panicking? Dude, if we have Puka panic, that's wild. Chase Brown over O'Marion Hampton. I still prefer O'Marion, but in full PPR. See, it's 10-man full PPR. I understand preferring Chase Brown in full PPR because he might catch like 20 or 30 more balls, but I think Hampton scores more touchdowns this year. I think Hampton's alive for 15 touchdowns from the goal line. I mean, that's like, think about what Raheem Mostert did for McDaniel. I think Hampton's going to do something very similar. So probably should be taking shots on that. Okay, I'm basically out of stacks, so I'm just throwing dudes in here that might do something. Maybe we will split the baby here. I may guess. Brian Robinson Jr., it's really weird. I have this weird thing. I won't take handcuffs where if the lead back there were to get hurt, it would make me extremely sad. Like, it's actually a thing I do in fantasy. I cannot bring myself to click those handcuffs. So I have not drafted. I think that might be my first Brian Robinson Jr. share because the idea of Bijan going down is so deeply upsetting to me that I avoid it. But I probably should be getting over that. I don't think that's a good process for fantasy football. So I could take Braylon Allen here as a favorite of mine, but I haven't taken a wide receiver in days. We'll take Pat Bryant there. I'm really bullish about those quotes we're getting from him. We'll take Antonio Williams if he's going to be there like this late. We'll see if he gets back to us. I doubt it. Keenan Allen. I guess Caleb Douglas, if he keeps getting the ink he's getting, right? Okay. Fantasy football. Lamb or Jefferson? Lamb, easily. Egbuka, 8th round, or Hampton, 4th round for a keeper? Hampton, 4th round. Hampton, 4th round for sure. Puka or Jamar Chase with the 3 in a 12-team league, 0.5 PPR? Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase. Jamar is one of very few players that can go for 50 points a week. And I know Puka can get close, but like Jamar, you know, Jamar could like break the record for points in a game at any given week. I think there's very few guys. Who would you rather pair with, JT or Cook? Would you rather pair JT or Cook with Gibbs? Why do you have Superflex starting fantasy? Yeah, that's crazy. Better to draft from the 11th or the 12th spot? The 11th. Better shot at getting Cook or Genty or Hampton or Brown, whoever you want. You get a better pick from the 11th. You should pick from the 11th. Nico Collins for a different wide receiver, 8-man league. Yeah. Nico Collins is pretty disrespected for how good he is at football. I think he's going to have a pretty good year this year. Saquon, Hampton, or Chase Brown? Hampton, Chase Brown, Saquon for me. Okay. Not a pick I make a lot, but Antonio Williams all the way at like 214 to stack with Jaden seems pretty good. See if anything happens there. We could go last round Carson Beck to throw with Marvin Harrison Jr. Might be kind of funny. Do we have 6 running backs? We have 6 running backs. Okay. Probably go Mike Washington, then Keenan Allen in that order because of that. Just because our wide receiver room is like very, very good here. Okay, Washington goes. We'll do Keenan Allen. Pick 1.07 in a PPR league. I would go Amon-Ra St. Brown and then Cook next. Bowers or Collins? That's a very tough call for me. I think I'm still taking Collins there. Because you can get, so that's from the 4th pick in the 2nd round or 4th pick in the 8th pick in the 2nd round. From the 8th pick in the 4th round, you can just go get Warren, and then you're looking at like Collins and Warren versus Bowers and Terry or Mike Evans. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too weird about that. Maybe like for how high I am on Mike Evans, I need to come around on Bowers. I don't know. Something I have to think about. Certainly in best ball, it's going to be a rough one for me if Bowers does well because I've been avoiding Bowers in drafts. Like I'm going to take an L there if Bowers comes out hot this year for best ball. Redraft is sort of a different thing. Because I care much more about redraft, to be honest with you. So we'll see what goes on there. Yeah, we're going to do a last round Carson Beck to stack with Marvin Harrison Jr. if this falls the right way. It'd be kind of funny. Oh my God, Tyler Warren in round 11 or Drake May in round 15, full PPR. I would do the free Drake May, I think. Well, no, because I would rather a premium tight end in round 11, round 15. I would keep the tight end. I would keep the tight end. Saquon or Chase Brown is pretty decidedly Chase Brown for me there. Curious what the fantasy community thinks. I say Chase Brown in round 2. Chase Brown's ADP is 15. But yeah, Chase. I know Saquon had a stinky last season, but I think it's crazy that people acting like he's washed. I don't think it's that he's washed. I think it's more just like Saquon's a pretty Brown feels like a pretty good investment. That's at least my thing. I'm not saying that Saquon's washed. It's not how I feel. Oh, there goes Carson Beck. That would have been kind of a cool random throw in late. There is something kind of funny about throwing in a Michael Penix Jr. late, but it seems like it's Tua's job there. Seems like that is what the team is saying. Okay, we will wrap this up with a random dart throw. Charlie Kohler. Did not mean to make this stream go on for hours. I meant to be more succinct with the article and doing the article intro on Reddit. I don't know. Maybe I'll post this video. Maybe I won't. I mean, it's going to stay up on my stream thing either way. But I'm saying maybe I'll attach this to the article. Maybe I won't. We will see. Burn through a good 20% of the battery life on my headphones. Okay. Yeah, we'll do Charlie Kohler, tight end 4, just on the off chance he gets the Rams starting tight end role. Okay, here is the team before we sign off for the night. Jamar Chase, Drake London, Pickens, Jacobs, McLaurin, Daniels, Marvin Harrison Jr., Corum, Gainwell, White, Murray, Okonkwo, Johnson, Bigsby, Ferguson. I'm going to stay. Bigsby, Ferguson, Robinson Jr., Pat Bryant, Antonio Williams, Keenan Allen, Charlie Kohler. Very happy with that team. Very, very happy with that team. That's one of my favorite ones I've drafted in a minute. Very happy with my first team. Thank you to anyone who watched. Thank you to anyone who listened to me talking through my articles. I'm passionate about them. I put a lot of time into them. The draft guide's dropping this weekend. It is going to be exactly how I would draft a 12-man draft from every position of the draft for every permutation and combination of roster build you could want. If you're interested, if that's something that you find worthwhile, like, subscribe, check out the Substack, check out the Discord. It will be posted on Reddit this weekend, and I hope to go back and forth with some of you there and have you come back here and comment to me. Thank you, and I will see you guys